This is a short demo of a kiosk unit for the vintage video game called the Mattel Intellivision. Kiosks were set up at your favorite department stores to demonstrate the latest video game consoles and provided an opportunity for potential customers to try out some games. What I'll do first is I'll show you the ports. As you see, the first port is labeled for the demo cartridge or a voice cartridge. Second port is for voice cartridge only, and the remaining ports are for either standard Intellivision cartridges or with voice. Notice that the games are all the older versions of the games, as the newer versions such as say Spiker Volleyball and some of the Magic games don't work on this console. On the side you'll notice that there's a customer port, such that when customers came into the department stores they could have brought their own games in and played their games to test them out if they wish to do so. Up here, the standard Mattel Electronics label. Next I'll show you how it connects. There's a ribbon cable that comes out of the unit, which then interfaces with the Intellivision console through the voice module, and then of course through the Intellivision. This happens to be the Sears version of the Mattel Intellivision. First thing I'll do is I'm going to turn the unit on, and I'll let the game cycle through. Okay, as you see, Space Spartans is the first game. What you do in order to cycle through is you click the disc on the controller, and you can cycle through each one of the games. And it starts back at the beginning again. If you wish to select one of the games to play, you hit the enter key, and it comes up. Alright, now I'll mute the television. Alright, so let's show you some additional features. Let's turn the unit off. By the way, there is no on-off switch on the kiosk unit itself. Essentially it plugs into the wall, and your on-off switch of your video game console turns it on. Alright, so let's turn the unit back on, and let's not cycle through the games. What will end up happening is that the first game will pop up, and if you don't select it, the demonstration cartridge, if it's plugged in, will turn on. And you see the demonstration cartridge starting to cycle through. Okay, let's turn the unit off again. Alright, let's take the demonstration cartridge out. Let's turn the unit back on again. Okay, now I'll start cycling through. Then what happens is that you'll get a screen in between each one of the games that cycles through automatically. And it shows you the screens that were programmed into the kiosk. And then it goes to the next game. And then it goes back to the screen again. Okay, turn the unit off again. Now let's go ahead and demonstrate the customer port. What I'll do is I'll take the game Frog Bog out with the final port here, plug it into the customer port on the side, and in this case you'll need to turn it over. Okay, Frog Bog is now in, as you see. Turn the unit back on again. Cycle through by pressing the disc, and Frog Bog pops up through the customer port. Okay, we'll turn the unit off one more time. Now we need to demonstrate the voice. What I'll do here, and this is really strange because I have not been able to get it to work totally through the entire game. I've only been able to get some of the voice to work. I'm not sure if there's an issue with the programming within the system or just what, but some of the voice does work. So let's turn the mute back on, or the volume back on. So the volume is now on again. Let's turn the unit on. Got Space Spartans. Let's hit enter on the disc or on the controller.
Mattel Electronics presents.
And you notice it didn't finish with Space Spartans. I don't know why that happens, but that's what happens on all the voice cartridges that I've tested. Okay, let's hit the mute button again. Let's turn the system off. Alright, so now let's do one more last demonstration. What we're going to do is we're going to plug in the game called Spiker Volleyball. Really cool game. This is one of the ones that came out by NTV Corp in the late 80s. Alright, it's now plugged into the final port here. Alright, turn the unit back on again. And you notice when it goes to that port, it goes to a V. I have no idea why it does that. Now if you hit the disc, you can cycle again through all the different ports of the games that are loaded and get to the Frog Bug again. Remember, it's plugged into the custom port, so all the ports are plugged in. Cycle through, and if you hit enter, a little quick flash pops up and then nothing happens. Again, that is for the more modern games for the Intellivision unit. Magic games and other games like that were not Mattel and from the original issues of the games will now work on this unit. Thank you.